Well, welcome to the Week 6 mini lecture. This covers Chapter 16 of the Cornerstones of Cost Management text. And this week's topic is about cost, volume, profit, and break-even. Obviously, you should be reading through the chapter and looking through everything there, but I want to make sure I highlight a few of the top-level things to consider and think about. So CVP, called cost, volume, profit, is really about the relationship between the cost of something, it's the variable cost of something, and then the profit that's left over. So cost, volume, profit. And break-even point, if you hadn't heard of that, and I have a separate video that talks about break-even point specifically, is just basically that point where costs and revenues are exactly the same. So we don't have income or loss. We have revenue and expense are exactly the same number. There's a couple of ways to compute break-even. Operating income approach or the contribution margin approach are the biggies. The cost, volume, profit, especially when you are working on a business plan, is very important. So the contribution margin approach is basically saying that we have to contribute to paying for our fixed cost. So the contribution margin is simply sales revenue minus variable cost. And so that difference, so obviously we should sell things at a price above their variable cost. That difference pays for the fixed cost. So sales revenue minus variable cost is contribution margin. And then fixed cost divided by unit contribution margins tells us the number of units that we need to sell to cover fixed cost. And so this is just an example of what contribution margin is. So in this example, imagine we're selling something for $10. And they don't give us the exact breakdown of the percent, but imagine it's 40 and 60. And so let's just say an item is a $10 sales price. Its variable cost is $6 or 60%. That means the contribution margin is $4 or 40% of the price. Okay, but that's just kind of a picture of what that means. And so here's just a volume of cost, or a graph of cost, volume, profit. You can see here for this particular company, break even is 20. And we start out with costs of 100. So no matter how many products we sell, we incur a loss of 100. So I have to sell enough products to, obviously break even, and then anything I sell above break even contributes to profits. And the more I sell, then the more the profits go up on the graph. So this just shows us here that if I want a $100 profit, I have to sell 40 units. At 20 units, I break even. If I sell no units, I lose $100. And again, this that cost volume graph. In this example, again, at 20 units, we are breaking even. Anything below 20 is a loss. Anything above 20 is a gain. And the more I sell, the greater the profit. Okay, that's just simply cost, volume, profit. The visual, I think, helps understand it a little bit better. There's one more video, a separate one that deals specifically with break-even also. But between the two, that covers the highlights of the chapter for Cornerstones of Cost Management, Chapter 16.